The large alien ship limped into the docking bay of Repair Station Orion. Its once gleaming hull was scorched in several places. Blue energy leaked from a crack near its engine section. Jack Miller watched from the observation deck and took a deep breath. This would be a challenge, but Jack loved challenges. "Another one?" asked Olivia Fields as she joined him at the window. Her red hair was tied back in a practical ponytail, and smudges of grease marked her uniform. Jack nodded. "Phyrexian battlecruiser. Third one this month." "What's wrong with it?" "Fusion core malfunction, according to their distress call." Jack scratched his beard. "That's the same problem the last one had." The Repair Station Orion floated in space near the edge of human territory. 5 years ago, when humans first achieved faster-than-light travel and joined the Galactic Concord, no one expected much from them. Humans were newcomers. Some alien species had been traveling among the stars for thousands of years before humans figured out how to leave their own solar system. Yet here they were, with alien ships lining up for repairs at human stations. Jack grabbed his toolkit and headed for the docking bay. As chief mechanic, he handled the most difficult cases personally. At 45, he had spent most of his life fixing things. Back on Earth, he had restored old cars from the scrapyard. Later, he worked on the first colony ships. Now he fixed alien spaceships with technology far beyond what humans had created themselves. The docking bay doors opened with a soft hiss. The Phyrexian ship dominated the space, towering over the human repair crews preparing their equipment. The Phyrexians were an insect-like species with hard outer shells and multiple limbs. Their captain waited at the bottom of the ship's ramp. "You are the human repair chief?" the Phyrexian captain asked, clicking its mandibles together anxiously. "That's me," Jack said. "Jack Miller. What seems to be the problem with your ship?" The captain's translator device hummed. "Our fusion core is malfunctioning. 3 Phyrexian engineering guilds have failed to fix it. We heard that humans have a special touch with repairs." Jack tried not to show his surprise. The Phyrexians had been traveling through space for 6,000 years. Their technology was far more advanced than anything humans had built. Yet here they were, asking for help. "We'll take a look," Jack said simply. "Olivia, get the diagnostic equipment ready." The inside of the alien ship was both fascinating and intimidating. Curved corridors led to the engine room, where strange symbols covered the walls and ceiling. The fusion core sat in the center, a sphere of swirling energy, contained within layers of protective fields. Jack connected his tablet to the ship's systems. The Galactic Concord had standardized certain interfaces to allow for communication between different species' technologies. As data streamed across his screen, Jack frowned. "This doesn't make sense," he muttered. Olivia looked over his shoulder. "What's wrong?" "According to these readings, everything is working perfectly." "But it's clearly not," Olivia said, pointing to the fluctuating energy levels visible through the containment field. "Look at that pattern. It's all wrong." Jack nodded slowly. "The computer thinks everything is fine, but the core is failing. Something's missing from the diagnostic data." That was the problem with most alien technologies. They were highly advanced but extremely specialized. Each component was designed to work perfectly, and when something went wrong, their systems often couldn't identify the real issue. "Let's do this the old-fashioned way," Jack said, pulling out a hand scanner from his toolkit. "We'll check every system manually." For the next 4 hours, Jack and his team crawled through maintenance tunnels, checked cooling systems, and tested power relays. The Phyrexian engineers watched with a mixture of curiosity and doubt. "What are they doing?" one Phyrexian asked another. "Our diagnostic systems are the most advanced in the sector." "Humans are strange," the other replied. "They seem to prefer touching things over trusting computers." Jack finally found the problem in a cooling pipe near the reactor core. He shined his light inside and spotted tiny crystalline growths clinging to the inner surface. "There," he said triumphantly. "Look at this, Olivia." Olivia peered into the pipe. "Crystal formations in a cooling line?" "They're microscopic, but they're building up and restricting flow," Jack explained. "The computer doesn't detect them, because they're not blocking enough flow to trigger an alarm yet. But they're causing the core to overheat in subtle ways. Jack turned to the Vrexian engineers. Have you been through any nebulas with high mineral content recently? The Vrexians looked at each other in surprise. Yes, 3 standard months ago. The cerulean cloud in Sector 47. Jack nodded. That explains it. Some particles got through your filters and started growing in your cooling system. The problem isn't with your fusion core at all, it's with your cooling system. The lead Vrexian engineer clicked its mandibles in frustration. Our filters are the finest in the galaxy. Nothing should get through. Sometimes it's not about how fine the filter is, Jack said. It's about what you're filtering for. These crystals are probably a type your sensors aren't programmed to detect. Within 2 hours, Jack's team had cleaned the cooling pipes and installed a modified filter system that could catch the crystal particles. This will prevent it from happening again, Jack explained as he showed the Vrexian captain the modified filter. I've adjusted it to detect the specific mineral signature from the cerulean cloud. The captain's compound eyes reflected the light as it examined the simple device. This is primitive by our standards, but effective. How did you think of this solution? Jack shrugged. Humans have spent centuries making do with what we have. We fix things instead of replacing them. We adapt. As the Vrexian ship prepared to depart, the station's communication officer called Jack. Miller, you'd better come to control, she said. We've got a situation. In the control room, the main screen showed dozens of ships approaching the station. There were vessels from at least 7 different species. They all sent the same message, the communications officer said. They heard about the Vrexian repair and want human mechanics to look at their ships. Station Director Ben Cooper ran, a hand through his gray hair. We don't have enough berths for all of them. We don't have enough crew to handle that many repairs. Jack stared at the screen, a slow smile spreading across his face. Then we'd better expand. Looks like business is booming. Within weeks, Repair Station Orion had doubled in size. New repair bays were constructed, and more human mechanics were recruited from Earth and the colonies. Jack's team grew from 12 to 50. Word spread across the galaxy. If your ship had a problem no one else could fix, take it to the humans. They didn't have the most advanced technology or the most elegant solutions, but they found ways to make things work when no one else could. Alien captains began to understand something that humans had known for centuries. Sometimes the best repairs didn't come from having the best parts or the most advanced systems. They came from having the ability to look at a problem differently, to improvise, and to make do with what you had. And no one did that better than humans. 6 months had passed since the first alien ship started coming to Repair Station Orion. What began as a trickle had turned into a flood. Ships from all corners of the galaxy now waited in line, sometimes for weeks, just to get human help with their repairs. Samantha Wright stood at the large window in her office watching the latest arrival. It was a massive Helvari generation ship, at least 20 times larger than any other vessel currently docked at the station. Generation ships were meant to travel for hundreds of years, carrying entire populations across vast distances. Seeing one here was unusual. Director Wright? Frank Delgado knocked on her doorframe. As operations manager, he handled the daily schedule of repairs and assignments. Come in, Frank, Samantha said without turning from the window. Are you seeing this? Frank joined her at the window. The Helvari ship? Yes. They sent an urgent message ahead. Their life support systems are failing. Samantha turned to face him, her expression serious. How many people on board? Over 20,000, Frank replied. They've been traveling for more than 300 years. They say they've tried everything to fix the problem. Samantha ran a hand through her short blonde hair. At 52, she had spent most of her career managing space stations, but nothing had prepared her for the responsibility she now faced. Repair Station Orion had become one of the most important facilities in this sector of space. Get Mary Gonzalez on it, she decided. Her team is the best with environmental and life support systems, Frank nodded. I'll tell her to drop everything else. This takes priority. Within hours, Mary Gonzalez found herself standing before the Helvari Elder Council in their ship's grand meeting chamber. The Helvari were tall, elegant beings with translucent skin that revealed networks of glowing blue veins underneath. They were an ancient species, known for their long lives and peaceful ways. "Thank you for coming so quickly," said the head elder, a Helvari so old that his skin had turned almost completely transparent. "Our situation is dire." Mary nodded respectfully. At 38, she had been one of the top environmental engineers on Earth before joining the station. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her brown eyes missed nothing as she glanced around the chamber. "Tell me about the problems you're having," she said. The Helvari chief engineer stepped forward. Unlike the elders, he wore a practical, work uniform covered in tools. "Our life support recycling systems have been gradually failing for decades," he explained. "The decline was so slow at first that we barely noticed it. But now we lose nearly 3% efficiency every month. At this rate, the air will become unbreathable within a year." Mary frowned. "Your ship was designed to last for 1,000 years, right? You've only been traveling for 300. "Exactly," the engineer agreed. "Something is wrong. Our best minds have tried everything, but we cannot find the cause. The systems appear to be working perfectly according to all our diagnostic tools." That last part caught Mary's attention. It sounded familiar, just like the problem with the Vrexian ships that Jack Miller had fixed months ago. Their diagnostics had also shown everything working correctly when it clearly wasn't. "I'll need full access to your life support systems," Mary said, "and I want to bring in my team, 5 more engineers." "Whatever you need," the head elder agreed quickly. "We have put our fate in human hands." Mary and her team spent the next 3 days crawling through the massive life support systems of the Helvari ship. They checked filters, analyzed gas composition, and tested water recycling units. Something wasn't adding up. "The CO2 scrubbers are working at only 60% efficiency," said Pedro, one of Mary's engineers, "but they test as fully functional. Same with the water purifiers," added Lynn, another team member. "Output is decreasing, but diagnostics show nothing wrong." Mary wiped sweat from her forehead. "Let's go deeper. I want to check the actual mechanical components, not just the computer systems." They began disassembling key parts of the recycling system. On the second day, Mary made a discovery that sent a chill down her spine. "Everyone, come look at this," she called to her team. Under a powerful microscope, she had found something strange in the filter membranes of the CO2 scrubbers. Tiny machines, smaller than dust particles. "Are those nanobots?" Pedro asked, squinting at the screen. Mary nodded grimly. "Yes, and they're not Helvari technology." Further investigation revealed that the nanobots were systematically destroying the filter membranes from within, creating holes too small to detect with normal scans but large enough to reduce efficiency over time. And they were everywhere, in the water systems, air filters, and even the food production units. "This isn't a malfunction," Mary told Samantha during an emergency video call. "The ship is being sabotaged. These nanobots are deliberately designed to cause slow, untraceable failures." Samantha's face paled on the screen. "Sabotage? Who would do such a thing? There are 20,000 innocent people on that ship." "The nanobots have a specific signature," Mary explained. "Our database identifies them as Toran technology." The implications were enormous. The Torans were one of the elder races that dominated galactic politics. They were advanced, powerful, and had a long-standing territorial dispute with the Helvari. "We need to inform the Helvari immediately," Samantha decided. "And then we need to find a way to remove these nanobots without alerting the Torans that we've discovered them." The meeting with the Helvari Elder Council was tense. When Mary showed them the evidence of sabotage, a murmur of shock and anger spread through the chamber. "This is an act of war," one elder said, his veins pulsing with bright blue light, a sign of extreme emotion among the Helvari. "If you had continued on your journey without discovering this," Mary explained, "your entire population would have died within a few years. The Torans could have claimed it was a tragic accident, a system failure in an aging ship, the head." Elder's hands trembled. 300 years ago, the Torans encouraged us to take this journey to settle a new world far from our home world. They even helped design this ship." Mary nodded. "They built in a kill switch from the beginning. Over the next 2 weeks, Mary's team developed a method to neutralize the nanobots without destroying the systems they had infected. They created a specialized electromagnetic pulse that would disable only the specific frequency the Toran nanobots operated on. "This should work," Mary told the Helvari engineer as they prepared to activate the pulse. "But your systems will need extensive repairs afterward." The pulse worked better than expected. The nanobots were neutralized, and the damage to the Helvari systems was minimal. As Mary's team began helping with repairs, something unexpected happened. Ships from across the galaxy started arriving at Repair Station Orion with similar problems. "We've got a Jexari cruiser reporting life support issues," Frank told Samantha, "and a Krell battle carrier with engine efficiency dropping for no apparent reason." "Check them for nanobots," Samantha ordered. "Same Toran signature." Soon, they found evidence of sabotage in vessels from a dozen different species, all traced back to technologies from one of the elder races. Not just the Torans, but the Mithril Collective and the Void Harmonizers as well. "They've been doing this for centuries," Samantha realized as she reviewed the growing evidence, sabotaging the younger races, keeping them dependent, or weakening potential rivals. As word spread about what the humans had discovered, ships arrived in even greater numbers. Some came for repairs. Others came seeking protection or to share their own stories of mysterious failures. The elder races, realizing their centuries of manipulation were being exposed, began to take notice of the human repair stations. These simple facilities run by the galaxy's newcomers had suddenly become a threat to the established order. "We're getting some strange communications," Frank told Samantha one morning. "The Toran High Council is demanding that we stop spreading false information about their technology." Samantha looked out at the dozens of ships now docked at their expanded station. "Tell them we're just fixing things. That's what humans do." But she knew this was just the beginning. The storm gathering on the horizon would soon break over them all. News spread quickly across the galaxy. Humans had discovered something that the most advanced civilizations had missed for centuries: deliberate sabotage of ships and systems. The elder races, the Torans, the Mithril Collective, and the Void Harmonizers were not happy about this discovery. "They're saying we're lying," Kevin Walsh said as he read the latest message from the Galactic Concord. He was the lead engineer at Repair Station Delta, a newer facility built at the edge of what had once been contested space. "The Torans claim we're causing the problems ourselves just to make them look bad." His second-in-command, Lisa Parker, snorted in disbelief. "That's ridiculous. Why would we do that?" "To gain influence, apparently." Kevin ran a hand through his short brown hair. At 36, he had the weathered look of someone who had spent too many hours working in hostile environments. "They're saying that humans are using repair stations as a way to gain power in galactic politics." The accusation might have worked if not for one simple fact. The evidence was overwhelming. More ships arrived every day with signs of the same type of sabotage, and the races that humans had helped were quick to defend them. The Helvari were the first to speak out. In a public announcement that was broadcast across all Galactic Concord channels, the head elder declared, "The humans saved our entire species from extinction. We were being slowly killed by nanobots planted in our system centuries ago. We have the evidence. Humans did not cause this problem. They discovered it and fixed it when no one else could." Other species came forward with similar stories. The once quiet repair stations became centers of political activity, as representatives from dozens of worlds came to share information and seek help. "I never thought I'd be involved in galactic politics," Kevin told Lisa as they prepared to inspect a Chiktan mining vessel that had just docked. "I just wanted to fix ships." The Chiktan vessel was massive, designed to break apart asteroids and extract valuable minerals. Its captain, a stocky being with rock-like skin, greeted them at the airlock. "Our structural integrity is failing," the captain explained, small pebbles falling from his mouth as he spoke, a normal occurrence for Chiktans. "We've had to reduce mining operations by 60%. Kevin nodded. "Let's take a look." Inside the ship, Kevin and his team found more evidence of sabotage, but this time, it was different. "These aren't nanobots," Kevin said as he examined the ship's support beams. Look at this corrosion pattern. It's some kind of chemical that's been slowly eating away at the metal. Lisa scanned the affected areas. It's too uniform to be natural, and it's only affecting certain alloys, the ones the Sictans get from Mithril collective traders. Kevin looked up from his work. So the Mithril are selling them pre-sabotage materials, clever, and much harder to detect than nanobots. What made humans different from alien engineers wasn't just their ability to find problems. It was how they solved them. While alien engineers typically relied on established protocols and standardized replacements, humans excelled at improvisation. The Chictan ship's structure couldn't be easily replaced. The specialized alloys came only from Mithril Collective. Worlds and ordering new materials would take months, time the mining crew didn't have. We need to neutralize the corrosive agent and reinforce the existing structure, Kevin decided. Lisa, remember that carbon fiber weaving technique we developed for the Jexari shuttle last month? Lisa nodded. You think it would work on this scale? With some modifications. We'll create a composite that bonds with the remaining metal and stops the chemical reaction. For 3 days, Kevin's team worked to create a new material that had never existed before, a blend of human carbon fiber technology, Chictan mineral, compounds, and recycled components from an abandoned Vrexian freighter. The result was a structural reinforcement that not only stopped the corrosion, but made the ship stronger than it had been originally. This is remarkable, the Chictan captain said, tapping the reinforced beam with his rocky fist. Our engineers would have insisted on complete replacement with original materials. Sometimes you have to work with what you have, Kevin said with a shrug. Humans have been doing that for our entire history. At Repair Station Gamma, near the central worlds of the Galactic Conquered, Nicole Harris faced an even greater challenge. A Jexari diplomatic vessel had arrived with completely fried navigation systems. The damage was so severe that the ship had to be guided in by tractor beams. We've never seen anything like this, the Jexari ambassador said. His species resembled tall, slender humanoids with iridescent skin that shifted colors with their emotions. Currently, he was a worried shade of pale green. Our best technicians can't even identify what caused the failure. Nicole, a 29-year-old specialist in computer systems, examined the burned-out navigation console. Unlike most human engineers, she had studied alien technologies extensively and could read several non-human programming languages. This was a focused energy pulse, she determined after running several tests. It targeted your nav system specifically. Very sophisticated. The question wasn't just how to fix it, but how to fix it with what they had available. The station didn't have Jexari replacement parts, and the next shipment was weeks away. Nicole's solution shocked everyone. She gathered components from 6 different species technologies: a processor from human systems, crystal memory units from a Vrexian fighter, power regulators from a Helvari shuttle, and sensor arrays from 3 other ships currently docked for repairs. You can't just mix technologies like that, the Jexari chief technician protested. They're completely incompatible. Nicole smiled as she continued working. That's what everyone thinks. But at the most basic level, they all do the same thing, just in different ways. The trick is finding the connections. Using skills that combined engineering, programming, and what some aliens considered almost magical intuition, Nicole created a hybrid navigation system that not only worked, but outperformed the original. It's processing navigational data 30% faster than our original system, the Jexari technician said in disbelief as he ran tests on the completed work. How is this possible? The Vrexian crystals store data more efficiently than your standard units, Nicole explained. And the human processors handle calculations differently than yours. Together they create something new. This ability to integrate seemingly incompatible technologies became known across the galaxy as the human touch. Ships repaired by humans didn't just work again, they often worked better than before. Word of these successes spread rapidly. Species that had been enemies for generations found themselves sitting in the same waiting rooms at human repair stations, sharing stories about how humans had fixed problems their own engineers couldn't solve. But the elder races weren't happy about these developments. They had maintained their power partly by keeping younger species dependent on their technologies. technologies they could control or sabotage when necessary. Humans were disrupting a system that had existed for thousands of years. "We're getting reports of elder race ships moving toward all human repair stations," Lisa told Kevin one morning, her face serious. "Not just one or two, entire fleets." Kevin looked at the screen showing dozens of vessels heading their way. "They're not coming for repairs, are they?" "No," Lisa replied. "I don't think they are." The elder races had decided. If they couldn't discredit humans or control them, they would try to eliminate them entirely. But what the elder races didn't understand was that attacking humans would only prove how much the galaxy needed them. The storm was about to break and humanity was ready. The attack came without warning. One moment, Repair Station Orion was running as usual with ships docking and leaving in an orderly fashion. The next moment, alarms blared throughout the station. "Unidentified vessels dropping out of hyperspace," shouted the sensor operator. "They're powering weapons." Samantha Wright ran to the command center, her heart pounding. Through the main viewport, she could see a fleet of unmarked ships appearing from hyperspace. Their sleek, threatening designs were unmistakable. They belonged to the elder races, though they carried no identifying marks. "Activate defensive protocols," Samantha ordered calmly, though her hands were shaking. "And send the emergency signal to all Allied ships in the area." What the attackers didn't know was that Jack Miller and his engineering teams had spent months not just repairing the station's systems, they had been improving them. "Shields at maximum," reported the defense officer. "Enhanced barrier technology online." The first volley of energy weapons struck the station's shields. Instead of the expected explosion and damage, the shields glowed brightly, absorbing and redistributing the energy. "They're holding," someone shouted in surprise. Jack grinned from his position at the engineering console. "Of course they're holding. We integrated Vrexian energy dispersion technology with Helvari field stabilizers. Those shields are 3 times stronger than standard human ones." The attacking fleet fired again, this time with more powerful weapons. Again, the shields held. "Return fire," Samantha ordered. "Target their weapon systems only." The station's defense turrets powered up. These too had been modified. What looked like standard human defensive weapons were now augmented with technology from half a dozen different species. The resulting energy beams cut through the attackers' shields with surprising effectiveness. Across human space, similar attacks were being repelled. The elder races had made a serious miscalculation. They assumed human repair stations would be vulnerable, isolated outposts. Instead, they found heavily defended facilities with allies rushing to help them. At Repair Station Delta, Kevin Walsh watched as ships from 20 different species formed a defensive line around the station. Species that had been enemies for generations were now fighting side by side against the elder race's unmarked attackers. "I never thought I'd see a Jigzari battlecruiser defending a Kikton mining fleet," Lisa commented as they monitored the battle from the control room. Kevin nodded. The elder races didn't understand what they were dealing with. They thought this was about repair technology. It's not. It's about trust. The battle lasted less than 6 hours. When it became clear that they couldn't overcome the combined defenses of the human stations and their allies, the attacking fleet retreated into hyperspace. In the following days, representatives from over 50 species gathered at Repair Station Orion for an unprecedented summit. The main docking bay had been converted into a meeting hall, with delegates seated in a large circle. "For thousands of years, the elder races have controlled galactic development," said the Helvari High Elder, addressing the assembly. "They have guided some species while hindering others. They have shared technology selectively, always maintaining their advantage." Murmurs of agreement ran through the crowd. "But humans," the Helvari continued, gesturing toward Jack, Samantha, and other human representatives, "humans have shown us another way. They see connections we miss. They integrate systems we thought incompatible. They repair what we believed irreparable." A Vrexian captain clicked her mandibles in agreement. "Our engineers develop perfect components that function exactly as designed. But when something breaks in an unexpected way, we are lost. Humans expect things to break. They plan for it. They adapt." The attack had united the younger races of the galaxy in a way nothing else could have. They had all been victims of the elder race's manipulation in some way, and they all recognized that humans offered an alternative. "We propose a new galactic organization," announced a Jexari diplomat, her skin shimmering with confident blues and golds. One centered not around military might or ancient hierarchies, but around technological cooperation and exchange. The plan they developed was bold. The human repair stations would be expanded and reimagined as massive technological exchange hubs, places where species could bring their innovations to be shared, integrated, and improved. 2 months later, the first of these new facilities opened in the space previously occupied by Repair Station Orion. Now called Humanities Workshop Alpha, it was 5 times larger and featured dedicated sections for research, development, education, and of course, repairs. Patrick Garcia, once a simple shuttle mechanic from Arizona, now stood before the assembled representatives of 87 species as the newly appointed Grand Coordinator of Interspecies Technological Cooperation. "We didn't come to the stars to conquer," he told the crowd, his voice steady despite his nervousness. "We came to connect, to understand, and yes, to fix what's broken. Not just ships and stations, but relationships between species that have been damaged for generations." As he spoke, Patrick could see ships continuing to arrive at the station, not just for repairs now, but to contribute to the greatest collaborative engineering project the galaxy had ever seen. Scientists and engineers from hundreds of worlds worked side by side in the new workshop areas, sharing innovations that had previously been closely guarded secrets. Even the elder races eventually joined. 3 months after the failed attack, a Toran diplomatic vessel docked at Humanities Workshop Beta. Their representatives were reluctant and prideful at first, but even they couldn't deny the results of human-led cooperation. "Your methods are unorthodox," admitted the Toran high engineer after watching a human team integrate Toran power systems with Vrexian sensor technology to create something entirely new. "But effective." The human engineer just smiled and handed the Toran a wrench. "Want to help? We could use someone who understands these power couplings better than we do." Hesitantly, the Toran accepted the tool. It was a small gesture, but a significant one. By the end of the year, 8 humanities workshops had been established across the galaxy. They became the most important locations in known space, neutral ground where species that had been isolated or at war for centuries could meet and work together. The age of sabotage and isolation was giving way to an era of unprecedented cooperation. And it all began because humans, the newcomers to the galactic community, approached problems differently. In a quiet moment, Jack Miller stood at a viewport in Workshop Alpha, watching ships come and go. Beside him stood Olivia, who had been with him since the beginning. "Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this?" she asked. "When we fixed that first Vrexian ship," Jack shook his head. "Never. I just wanted to fix things. That's all any of us wanted to do." "And you ended up fixing the whole galaxy," Olivia said with a smile. Outside the viewport, a newly arrived ship was being guided into a docking bay. It was an elder race vessel, a void harmonizer transport with engine trouble. A few months ago, they would have rather drifted in space forever than ask humans for help. Now they came willingly, even eagerly. This was the true power of the human repair stations. They didn't just fix technology. They fixed misunderstandings. They fixed old grudges. They built connections where none had existed before. No wonder alien ships swarmed human repair stations. No one did it better. The end.